So what are trade shows? Is it where it's just random people, the public, that are coming in? I know that there's some trade shows that are like that,
Yeah.
but then there's also trade shows that are for the industry. Maybe you can help us to understand what that is.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. And, maybe, a little bit of history on trade shows. They really have been around since the beginning of time. If you think of the Middle Eastern bazaars that have been going on for centuries, and they continued till today. And I think the first trade show, that was really credited as kind of a global trade show that was kind of like what we have today, was in 1851 in London, the Great Exposition. The first time people, exhibited and people from around the world came to kind of look at what was being offered in different wonders and so forth. In the U.S., there are 13,000 trade shows annually across all sorts of different industries. The largest, typically those are national shows, and international shows are going to take place in one of three cities: Chicago, Las Vegas, and Orlando. Why those three cities? Because they have the largest convention centers and can host the most people. But other cities, the smaller cities and even some small towns have convention centers, and trade shows are going on just all the time. Typically, the smaller cities are going to get regional or local events. There are a couple different types of trade shows. We would have, your consumer trade shows, where consumers off the street are invited in if they have, just some type of interest. And then we also have B2B shows, so businesses trying to sell to other businesses. And that's really where my area of expertise would come in. My entire history has been, one company trying to sell to another. And then there are, of course, hybrid shows where, consumers and B2B, tend to overlap. Why would you want to come to a trade show? I think the first opportunities you're going to be able to view the industry, in a whole. You have a really good snapshot of an industry, and bringing it back to housewares. Let's say you're really interested in cookware and you want to see, the top 100 cookware manufacturers or bakeware manufacturers, coming to a show like ours. You're able to see all of those companies all in one place. Every year we get, young people just out of college, that have entered the housewares industry, or, someone, with more experience who's coming from a different industry into housewares coming to our event. And, they walk in and they, their eyes get great big and they say, wow, I had no idea that the industry was really so, deep and dynamic and complex. Trade shows also give you the opportunity to cover a lot of meetings in an incredibly short period of time. Give me an example. Week before last, I spent the entire week in New York City, and I think I averaged 3 meetings a day. By the time I would go across the city and building to building, and I think at the end of the week, I might have had 9, 10 meetings. Felt pretty good about it, but at a trade show, 3 to 4 days, you potentially could have hundreds of meetings, during that time. So they're incredibly efficient. Trade shows are also going to give you a geographic advantage. Our members and our exhibitors are really wanting to sell to, let's say, Walmart and Amazon and Target. And to sell to those companies, Walmart's based in Bentonville, so you've got to go to Arkansas, and Amazon's in Seattle, so you've got to go to Washington, and Target being in Minneapolis. You think about the time that it takes to go, between the cities versus the fact that, those companies and hundreds of others are all within the same venue. It just really shows how incredibly efficient a trade show can be.
Absolutely.